I am very deeply troubled about some of the allegations that have been made about improper fraudulent servicing and foreclosure processing. In one example, a constituent of mine from Whitehall, seeking a modification from Bank of America, was told by a servicing associate that while the loan modification was in review, the homeowner should not make any mortgage payments. Let me repeat that. He was told by their servicer, Bank of America, not to make any payments, and that if they did, they wouldn't qualify for modification. The gentleman from Helena, how is it possible he would receive a letter indicating that he is in foreclosure before foreclosure processing is restarted in the state of Montana? There's no doubt in my mind this is not isolated. Montana is not a state where people come to the U.S. Senator just willy-nilly. At a minimum, we need to understand these risks before the Fed moves forward with guidance allowing banks to increase dividends, because quite frankly, there ain't going to be any more bailouts. I mean, to be honest with you, some heads have to roll if they're given that kind of advice. That's just the way it is.
Senator Merkley.
Because we have millions of people in this country that are underwater in their mortgages, right? We know that. I, for one, don't believe that it's possible to prop up the value of all of these houses. That's impossible. And that it would be foolish public policy to do. Why can't we get all of this self-interest aligned in a way that will allow us to proceed expeditiously, so that not just so that my constituents can get on with their lives, which they desperately want to do, but so that we can get this economy moving again? Professor.
I think there are at least two problems. One problem is mortgage servicers, and I think you've heard a fair amount of testimony already at this hearing about the incentive alignment problem. Simply put, foreclosure is either less costly or more profitable than modification in many cases. The second problem...
Not as far as the investors are concerned.
No, this is the servicers representing their own financial interests, which are the servicers' financial interests do not match the investors. The second problem is it comes with loans that are not being serviced by a third-party servicer, but with loans that are actually on bank books. There is a strong disincentive for banks to recognize losses on mortgages quickly.
What percentage would you say of...
Around 40% of mortgages in this country are not securitized. We don't actually know how many mortgages there are in the U.S., which is just kind of an astounding failure, regulatory failure to gather information. No one knows the number, somewhere between 50 and 60 million. But of the mortgages that are on bank books, if the loan defaults, the bank can stretch out the period of time before foreclosure. That means that the bank is stretching out the time before it has to recognize the loss. If the bank modifies the loan now, let's say it writes down principal now, it's taking an immediate loss, and this is particularly a problem with second liens, because almost all second lien mortgages are on banks' books. There are around $400 billion in second lien mortgages out there. That is roughly equal. They're held by the four largest banks: Bank of America, Chase, Citi, and what am I forgetting? Wells. That's roughly equal to the market capitalization of those four banks. So if they started writing off their second lien mortgages, they would have no capital left. They would be insolvent. And that creates a strong incentive not to recognize losses and to do extended and just try and pretend that they aren't there.